Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are approaching the end of June, which means it's time to do a mid-year book tag. We're going to quickly look at my reading goals for the year and how I'm doing in relation to those, and then we are also going to answer some questions from the mid-year book freakout tag, but also I've added a few of my own questions that I feel like I wanted to ask myself. Can you see Willow there? Ignore her. Okay, so my reading goal for 2024 is 100 books, and that is the most I will have ever read. I think the last couple of years I've read around 80 books, but this year I've really wanted to challenge myself to read 100. Now, I am behind my goal. I wasn't until this week, and I have hit a little bit of a reading slump this week, just haven't had much time for reading, and when I have had free time, I just haven't been gravitating towards reading. So I was on track, but I now am not. At this point in time, when I'm filming this video, which is the 18th of June, I have read 44 of 100 books. So it says I am 2 books behind schedule. So not ideal, but you know, I'm confident we will get there. I'm going on holiday next week and I hope to do a lot of reading in my week on holiday. Oh, getting lipstick all over my mug. That's lovely. The other thing that I wanted to quickly look at and talk about before I get into the questions is my 24 books to read in 2024 list. So I have my laptop in front of me and I'm just going to have a look at my Notion. So here I have my 24 books to read in 2024, and I have obviously ticked off and rated the ones that I have read. And if we look, I have read 10 of the 24. So not far from halfway. Not too bad, and some of these that are on here are on my list actually to read when I'm on holiday, so hopefully we will get somewhere with those. It's also interesting to see, so of these 24 books in 2024, the ones I've read, one of them has been a 5-star, Binding 13. I've had a couple of 4 stars, Bride, Never, Love Redesigned, The Cruel Prince, Bonesmith, One Dark Window, and then a few 3 stars as well, so Happy Place, Before You Knew My Name, Betting on You, yeah, and that's it. So, you know, I'm not mad about that. I feel like I'm doing okay, but maybe this is something that I need to keep an eye on for the second half of 2024, because wouldn't it be nice to read all of these books? And now I guess it's time to get into the questions. So the first question is the best book you've read in 2024 so far. This one was quite easy for me because this book has, I was going to say changed my life. That sounds very dramatic, but it has changed my life as a reader in terms of I have a new favourite book series. So it's got to be Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I also think that of the series, although all of the ones I've read so far have been 5 stars, this one just really holds a special place in my heart because it's obviously the introduction to this series. I think of especially Binding and Keeping 13, Binding 13 I preferred, but I still absolutely loved Keeping 13. They're both 5-star reads for me. I'm just so glad I finally picked up this book and this series. It's been something that I've considered reading for such a long time, and I'm so glad that I just finally went with it because it is intimidating. The books are bricks. In fact, the one that I'm currently reading is nearly 1,000 pages long, and that is ridiculous. So they are intimidating, but they're actually so easy to read, even though they cover some very sad and difficult topics. At the same time, I find them really comforting to read. I just think the writing is really comforting, and the fact that we are following all of these characters who we love and we know so well. I don't know, I just love being in this world. So I had to give it to this one for the best book I've read so far. To be honest, I'll be very impressed if a book can top this in the rest of 2024. This is the first book in the Boys of Torment series. This is a new adult series taking place in Cork in Ireland. The first books follow Johnny and Shannon. Shannon has a very difficult life at home and at school. She is bullied, she's not treated well, and she basically starts at Torment School or Torment College, which is a private school, and there she meets Johnny, who is the rugby star. He's a couple of years older than her, and there is a romance between them. But these books are so much more than just the romance. You dive so deep into the characters. They're really character driven, character focused, and I just love them. So yeah, Binding 13 for the best book I've read so far. Okay, next question is best sequel you've read in 2024. Obviously I could have chosen one of the Boys of Torment books, but I'm not going to, because I have a different book to choose for this, and that is, can anyone guess? A Promise of Peridot by Kate Golden. This is the second book to A Dawn of Onyx. It's called the Sacred Stones series or the Sacred Stones trilogy. The third one is coming out later this year. This is a romantasy series, I would say, like very strong romance, but it is a fantasy. The romance is just amazing, and these books are so addicting. Like, you just don't want to put them down, and they're so quick and easy to read. They're so fun, but the romance is like painful in the best way. And yeah, I don't know, I just absolutely love these books. So I'm giving it to A Promise of Peridot for the best sequel. Okay, so the third question is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. There are honestly so many books I could choose for this because I am not very up to date on new releases at the moment, but I have narrowed it down to 2 actually. So the first one is Cross the Line by Simone Sultani. This is an F1 romance, and if you know me, I love F1, need I say any more? I've heard really good things about this one as well, and yeah, I'm just really excited to read it. I think it'll be a really fun read. To be honest, like most F1 romances that I've read, I've loved, and yeah, I've heard good things about this one, so I'm just really excited to get to this one. I can't remember exactly when it came out, but definitely recently, like was it within the last month maybe, or 2 months? And then the other one I actually don't have a copy of yet, but I will be getting one, and that is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. Carly Fortune is the author of Every Summer After, and I've spoken about Every Summer After before on my channel. Definitely, it's a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. I know some people don't love it because of a certain plot point, but I just really enjoyed the whole book. And then she had a second book, Meet Me at the Lake, which I never picked up or read because I just did not hear good things about it. But this one, This Summer Will Be Different, I've heard really good things about. Do I know the plot? I don't think so. Is it Second Chance? I'm not exactly sure on the plot, but I really like Carly Fortune's writing. I love the settings of her books as well, and this one just seems like it'll be a really good summer read, and as I said, I've heard good things about it, so I'm really excited to pick that one up. Okay, and then the next one is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now this is hard for me because honestly, I just have a really bad memory, and I can't remember what books are coming out. Having said that, I do have a couple of answers. So my first answer is A Reign of Rose by Kate Golden. That is the third book in the Sacred Stone series that I just spoke about. That comes out in October, I think, and I am so excited to read that and finish this trilogy, and you can bet I will be picking that up as soon as it comes out. The next one is The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. Now this is one that I have on pre-order because I saw Waterstones post about like a special edition of it. It must have been a couple of months ago now, and it caught my eye because I really liked the special edition. And then I read the summary and it sounded really good, and yeah, I'm excited to read it, but it's not an author that I know, and I can't remember what the plot is. Obviously I just know that it is a fantasy. I'm pretty sure it's a fantasy romance, and yeah, it intrigued me, so I'm really looking forward to getting that one. And then the third one that I have is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I can't remember exactly when that comes out. Now, I loved Better Than the Movies, so I am of course excited for this book, although I was surprised when I heard that it was happening because Better Than the Movies doesn't need a sequel. It was like a finished, complete romance. So I'm interested to see what happens, and I just really hope it's not a flop. Sometimes authors do a second book because they just want to piggyback on the success of the first book, and it really didn't need another book, so I am worried that that is like what's happening here. I'm still excited to read it and see what I think, and hopefully it is just as good as Better Than the Movies because I literally love that book. Okay, next question is biggest surprise. And although I'm really trying to not repeat myself with these questions, this was the only one that really fit this question for me, and that is A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden, the first one in the Sacred Stone series. This just surprised me because I really hadn't heard anyone really talking about this book. I mean, I'd seen it a lot on social media, but in terms of like booktube and people that I watch, I hadn't seen anyone read it when I picked it up, and to be honest, I still really haven't seen many people read it. So if you haven't read this, please do go and read it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, I was just shocked by how much I loved this. So this is probably my biggest surprise. I think I thought I would enjoy it, but I thought it would maybe sit somewhere between 3 stars and 4 stars. So yeah, guys, if you have not read this book, please go and read it. If you take anything from this video, please read A Dawn of Onyx if you like romantasy. Okay, next question is newest fictional crush. I have a crush on most men in books. Yeah, I just do. But I was looking through my Goodreads to get inspiration for this question of like who stands out to me, and I came up with two. So the first one is Joey Lynch from the Boys of Torment series. He's the male main character in Saving Six and Redeeming Six, and I just literally love him. And I think that if I knew him in real life, I would be in love with him. Yeah. And my second newest fictional crush is Nico Russo, and he is from The Sweetest Oblivion, which is kind of crazy to me. Like, I didn't really think I would be talking about that book in this video. Not because I didn't like it, I did like it, but it wasn't like an absolute favourite. And it's not really my normal kind of book. I'm not a massive dark romance reader, but I just loved that man. And when I like saw that book and thought about him on my Goodreads, I was like, yeah, it's got to be Nico. So those are my two newest fictional crushes. They're not necessarily my biggest fictional crushes of all time. I definitely have others. For this year, those are my new ones. Okay, next question is a book that made you cry. And I did not have to think long about this one at all. I'm not actually going to get the book because it's on my bookshelf and it's like at the bottom of a stack, and I can't be bothered to get it, sorry. So I'll put a picture up. Kingdom of Ash. There was a scene, and if you'd have told me when I was reading Heir of Fire or Queen of Shadows that I would care so much about these characters, I wouldn't have believed you. Like, I was not that interested in them. But by the time Kingdom of Ash came, I cared so much. I cared too much. And yeah, that book killed me. That particular scene killed me. It made me sob. So yeah. Definitely Kingdom of Ash, which I'm sure you know, but it's the last book in the Throne of Glass series, if you didn't know. Okay, next one is a book that made you happy, and to be honest, there were so many that I could say for this, but I have got two that I'm going to say. So first one I'm going to say is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This was just so cute, and like, it was small town, it was fairly light-hearted, and it just made me happy. It was just a nice vibe to be in. And then the second one is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. That's a very recent read for me, but I just like had the best time reading it. It was just fun. It was like watching a rom-com. I loved it. So yeah, those are the two for a book that made me happy. But honestly, so many of the books that I read make me happy. Most like rom-coms that I enjoy make me happy. Okay, next one we have is Most Beautiful Book You've Bought So Far This Year. And I could not narrow this down more than three. Two of them are fantasy and one of them is a romance. So the two fantasy covers that I have, and this is crazy actually because neither of these are Fairy Loot editions. Just thinking I probably could have chosen a Fairy Loot edition. So the first one I have is Feybound by Sarah L. Arifi. I just love this cover. I think the foiling is really beautiful. I love the colours. The title at the side, I don't know. I just really like this cover. Let me know. Do you agree? Do you like it? I've not actually read this book yet, so I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but even if I don't, at least it's a nice cover. This is a fantasy with maybe a side plot of romance. Like, there's definitely romance in it, I think, but I don't know if it's that big of a plot. And it follows two sisters who basically have to escape the Elven lands and they go to the Fey lands. Yeah, it sounds interesting. I do really want to read this soon, so yeah. And then the other one that I'm gonna say is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I love both of the Emily Wilde's covers, but obviously this is the one that came out in 2024. And I just love the green. Again, the foiling on the title, I just think it's really cute. And yeah, I think these books have lovely covers. And then the romance is actually Jane Eyre. I obviously opened this in an unboxing and you will have seen my reaction then to how beautiful this book is to me. But this is the painted edition by, who's it by? It's the Harper Muse Classics painted editions, and this is just gorgeous. I just absolutely love this edition and I can't wait to read this book. So yeah. Next question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Now I'm just going to pick this one straight back up. Jane Eyre. I need to read this by the end of the year. I've not read any classics this year, and although I'm not a massive classics reader, I would really like to read this one and see what I think. So I actually have a video idea in mind to read this in, so hopefully you will be seeing me read this before too long. But to be honest, maybe after summer. I think it might be like a nice cozy read. And then the other book, I mean, there's so many that I want to read by the end of the year, but I'm not going to go through my whole TBR with you. So instead, I'm going to say Crescent City House of Earth and Blood. This is one of the ones that's on my 24 books to read in 2024. I have owned this book, I don't even know how long I've had this, to be honest, a really long time. I'm pretty sure you can't get this edition anymore, which is why I've now had to also buy the hardbacks, which I do have up on my shelf so that they would all match. But yeah, I desperately need to read this book and this series. It's the only Sarah J Maas books I've not read, and I need to read it because I know everybody was shocked by the second book and I need to know why. I need to know the link, if there is one. I have a feeling there is, and yeah. I know that this is a lot of people's least favourite Sarah J Maas series, but that's fine because the other two are 5-star series for me. So I am intimidated by this series though. I don't know why. I think because like knowing that it's her first proper adult fantasy, I think people have said it's a bit more complex, there's more world building. The books like straight off the bat are big compared to some of her other series, which starts with like some shorter books before you get into the massive ones. So yeah. Next question is biggest disappointment of the year, and this is a really sad one to admit, but I've got to be honest, like this is the book that disappointed me the most. And obviously when I'm talking about disappointing, it's probably a book that I was really excited to read and then it just fell short for me. And I don't know if anyone might be surprised about this. Maybe not if you saw the reading vlog where I read it. Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. Now I know in the world of Magnolia Park's fans that this is an unpopular opinion, and I love Magnolia Park. I don't know if it still is my favourite series because I think like this book maybe changed my opinion a bit. If we discount this book, like before this book came out, it was hands down my favourite series. I absolutely loved it, was obsessed. I've reread the first 2 Magnolia Park's books, like they've been 5 stars every time for me. But this one was just a letdown. If I'm honest, I just found it a bit boring. It just didn't give me the same feelings, and that is so sad. And I know that, as I said, so many people did love this book. I just personally didn't. It wasn't bad. I can't even remember what I rated it. But it definitely wasn't a bad rating, but I'm not gonna lie, it was really disappointing. I was expecting a 5-star book and it wasn't. So yeah. And then finally, the last question that we have is series I want to finish. Literally, I would love to finish every series that I am reading, but that's not gonna happen. So I'm gonna narrow it down. Firstly, the Boys of Torment series. I'm currently reading Redeeming 6, and then I need to read Taming 7. I'm not sure when the next book is coming out in that series, but I would like to get up to date with that series by the end of the year for sure. Zodiac Academy. I'm pretty sure Zodiac Academy is now finally complete. I have read the first 6 books. I read them all back to back, and then when did I even do that? Did I finish them in like September time, maybe last year? And then I've not read one since. So I would really like to finish that series. And then the last one is the Plated Prisoner series. Now I'm not sure that that series is finished yet or will be finished by the end of 2024. It could be, but I'm not 100% sure. But I would at least like to catch up in that series because I'm falling behind, and that is a series that I also really enjoy. So that is all of the questions I have answered. I would love to know your answers to some of these questions, so I will leave all of the questions in the description. So if you would like to answer, share your thoughts, then I would love to hear how your reading year is going. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love to see you in my next video. Bye.